Hello everyone. It looks like we are live. Good evening, everybody. Let's just wait a little bit longer. You can see people still logging on. Hello everyone. Hi Adam again. It's a really lovely spring evening here in Auckland. So I hope everyone's had a bite, had your dinner, ready to listen to this webinar. Really good to see familiar names again. Okay, I think we will get started. So yes, a really warm welcome to everybody again. If you've been listening to our previous webinars, thank you for being so loyal, like a loyal listener. We're really great to have you here. And I hope everyone is staying safe as always. I see people listening in from the Philippines as well. So, kamusta? Okay, so my name is Zinni. For anyone that doesn't know me, I'm a licensed immigration advisor here at Working In. I've been here for almost 6 years now. We have a really big team you can see on the screen. So many advisors. I think we're up to 14 now, and also quite a lot of visa administrators that support our advisors with delivering. So good evening, everybody. And with me today is Hamneet.
Thank you, Zinni. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our webinar session. It's always good to give you more clarity and more information on immigration front on what's happening. Those who don't know me, my name is Hamneet, and I am a senior license advisor at Working In. I have been working on a full license since 2015. Tonight, we are going to not share, but actually recap the whole eligibility criteria and what information we have in hand and more clarity from the latest immigration webinar that we attended last Friday. And just putting a disclaimer out here, this is just a general information, everyone, and do not take it as a personal immigration advice. If you need any specific advice to your situation, please contact us. There is a free appraisal, onshore link that we have attached to the slides that will be coming through. Just register to that, and yeah, we will get in touch with you.
That's right, Hamneet. So yeah, we have talked to a lot of people over the last few weeks. And just to really recap that everyone's situation is really different. So do contact us individually so we can assess your situation. So tonight we will go through the eligibility criteria again. We have a little bit more information from Immigration New Zealand, and we'll be sharing some of the policy information. We will also talk about the partnership and dependent children criteria, as well as health and character requirements. And next we'll talk about the application timeframes, and then we'll cover some of the questions that we have been receiving quite frequently, and then we'll go through how we can assist you. So Hamneet, let's jump straight into it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zinni. Just to recap, guys, on all the instructions that immigration introduced on 30th of September for the eligibility criteria for this new residence program, how I call it as hashtag residence visa 2021. It's a generation of hashtags. Why not use it for the immigration? So just giving a recap on the instructions, you need to be on eligible visa on 29th of September 2021. Immigration has segregated the instructions into 3 criteria, which they have named as settled, skilled, and scarce. It's right on the screen, and we'll explain in the coming slides what is actually covered in terms of settled, skilled, and scarce. But foremost, you have to be in New Zealand as of 29 September 2021. You need to be on an eligible visa on or before 29 September. Most of you guys may have applied for eligible visa. Don't worry, if you meet one of the criteria and your visa is in process with immigration, that's fine. You're still eligible to apply for either of the phases, depending on what criteria you meet. But don't get panicked. Don't get worried about, oh, no, I don't have eligible visas now. But if you've applied for one, it's in process, that's fine. So let's just go to the other slide, which explains about the 3 criteria which you need to meet. And this one is the eligible visa. Anyone who is on the visas which is listed on the screen, there's the whole list, qualifies one criteria of being eligible to apply under this RV 2021. I've dealt with a lot of people who I've done border exemptions for, and I've got a lot of inquiries from the people who are already here in New Zealand or in process of coming to New Zealand and listening to this webinar. You guys are also eligible to come here to New Zealand if your critical worker is granted for 6 months or longer. Either it's in the health section or under the other critical worker section. But if it's granted for 6 months, which is called the long-term visa or long-term roles, you are eligible to apply for residence under this new program, also meeting one of the criteria as listed. Anyone who has not entered New Zealand must make an entry before 31st July 2022 in order to apply under this new program. And anyone who's got plans who may not want to hurry in this in applying for it, but still you've got time till 31st July to make an application under this program. So that's one on being the eligible visas that is listed. Don't get confused with the fact that if you're on a partner visa, student visa, visitor visa, unfortunately, I think immigration has got better plans for you in future, but you do not fall under this category. But don't lose your heart. Don't get disheartened with this. You definitely have, other plan which immigration is working on, how to help other migrants who are on such visas. And now comes the eligibility criteria. Immigration has given this very clear indication that you do not have to meet all 3 criteria. You have to meet one of the criteria. So one of the criteria is the settled criteria, where you have arrived in New Zealand on or before 29 September 2018, and you have spent a minimum of 821 days. So a lot of people, I've got a lot of questions with regards to this. Hey, for example, if I've come to New Zealand on a visitor visa, do I still count to be on eligible visa because I've entered on so-and-so date, but on a visitor visa or on a student visa? Immigration on this webinar have made it very clear, irrespective on what visa you have entered, until unless you have entered on or before on this date of 2018, you can apply under this criteria of a settled criteria. It doesn't matter if you came to New Zealand on a visitor visa or on a student visa, as long as you meet the settled criteria of living in New Zealand and your entry is before 29 September 2018, you meet this criteria then. We'll cover all the questions in the end of the session, but I thought I'd just put it out right there so that you are ready to answer, put the question out there in the chat. The second one of the criteria is the skilled criteria. You must be paid the median wage rate, which is currently is New Zealand $27 per hour or above on 29 September 2021. It doesn't matter how much you were earning previously, even if your pay rate was increased in that month itself, until unless you were being paid $27 on or before 29 September, you meet the skilled criteria to apply for RV 2021. This is quite simple, and immigration has given us the clear expectations on what they are expecting in terms of to meet this criteria. They might ask employment agreement, pay slips, your IID summary. All this will be explained further depending on which criteria you meet. But this was in the webinar, and I think it is up there in a lot of forums that I could see in the migrants for RV 2021. But don't consume this information in a way that it is directly applicable to you. Just double check with the licensed advisor, even not through us or any licensed advisor, just double check with them, because it's one lifetime opportunity you've got from immigration and you don't want to mess it up in a polite way. And the third criteria is the scarce criteria. There are a lot of occupations which immigration has listed under this criteria. And they have segregated into several skills shortlist, like jobs on long-term skill shortage list, or the jobs which has got occupational registration in the health or education sector, personal carer or other health workers, or specified primary sector jobs. Anyone who, there is a full list available on immigration website, but if you can contact us, we can review your occupation as well. But there is a full list which immigration has provided where you can see if your occupation fall under that list or not. If it does, then you have to just meet one of the criteria and you can apply for RV 2021. So that's the snippet of all the criteria that we have just discussed. Just giving you a recap, you need to meet only one criteria, not all three criteria. But all of you need to have eligible visas. You can't expect to be on a visitor or partner or student. You need to be on the eligible visa listed in the screen and also available on immigration website. Over to you, Zini.
Yeah, so yeah, that's right, Hamnit. And just to really clear, so you need to be on an eligible visa on 29th of September 2021 and on the day that you apply for this resident visa. So there's 2 points in time that you need to be on this eligible visa. If previously you were not on an eligible visa, that's okay, but these 2 points in time. And skilled, scarce, or settled, you only need to meet one of them. So from what Hamnit has discussed, it seems quite straightforward to some people, but there is also a lot of details involved. And as we have spoken to a lot of people, there's different situations to be taken into account. So all of you, you need to be sure if you can apply, just double check with us. And you also want to check that you do actually meet these criteria or these requirements, especially with the wage requirement. We had some questions, people back paying, whether that's acceptable or not. It's very dependent on the situation and dependent on, the documents as well. So we need to double check everything in detail before we can confirm. So what we actually do when you do sign up is we go through, first the eligibility assessment to really double check that you tick all the boxes that needs to be ticked. So not just these criteria for this category, but also the health and character requirements that are usually required. And especially because this is a residence application, they do have quite a strict bar because you gain a permanent, a relatively permanent status in New Zealand, and lots of rights that come with that. So immigration does do those checks as per usual. So we do help you, check whether you have potentially a medical condition that might affect the application, or if you've got like a record on your police certificate that you're worried about, or you might have had visa declines in the past or breaches in the past. Not to worry, it might not be, totally the end of the world. So we do double check with you and also advise how you could potentially overcome those issues. And I can see a few employers here tonight with us, so hello. So anyone that is not an employer, if you do want us to discuss with your employer in terms of explaining, the requirements, because there are some documents that will be required from them, then we are really happy to talk to them as well. And if you are an employer watching, welcome, hello. Great to have you here on board. And yeah, we definitely can arrange to go through each of your employees, review their documents, review their situation, not just them individually, but also their family members as well. They might be offshore, they might be older, we can do that for you. So Hamnit, let's talk about the partnership requirements, because there is some information in here that is useful to our listeners tonight.
Thank you, Zini. I think this is one of the most talked topic in the immigration industry or overall or all across. And since the last webinar, I've got a lot of inquiries specifically on partners, dependents, health, and character, because we've got a lot of clarification. And since we have got a lot of clarification, there are a lot of questions coming in, and however we suit or we don't. But good news is, as we already know, you can include your partner, your wife, your kids in the application, even if they are based offshore. However, do not just assume that it will be a rosy road. Immigration is going to scrutinize or probably dig in more on how genuine your relationship is, or how stable your relationship is. And obviously, there are a lot of documents that are required in the background to prove that you were, even during the times where due to COVID, that you were not living together, how your relationship was still genuine and how you've maintained it. So all those nitty gritty, which we kind of, avoid while collating all the information. That's why the expert team like us or any licensed advisor in the market would help you to guide you through what documents you can collate, what information can be presented in certain manner, so that it's not only fast moving application for us and also for immigration, that they check, meet the requirements, okay, done, we are through to getting it approved. But since you are able to include your family who were not were able to include earlier, so now you can, there is a certain bar towards the dependent child. You can include your dependent child up to 24 years old, meeting, they have to meet the other criteria as well of a dependent child, where they need to be dependent on you financially, no kids are of their own, and meeting the instructions which are set out on immigration website. Kids who were included in the earlier application lodged, like say, for example, from residence from work or the SMC application, but they have obviously, due to the processing time taken by immigration for such long time, and they have obviously surpassed the age of 24, immigration were being generous enough, and they have given this opportunity to those kids to be included still as a dependent, but they need to be included in the application earlier. Please be advised that anyone who was not included in the application earlier is actually not eligible to apply for a dependent if they have crossed 24 years or older. There is still, even 25 years or older, need to meet the dependent criteria to prove it to immigration, and there will be a separate application for it. There is no additional fee for the dependent child separate application, but it will go to a similar pathway, but a different application. So that's what it is in the family and dependent criteria. For partnership, I will reiterate that even if you are not living together, I've got a query today recently from one of my clients that I'm not living with my wife and kids, and because of COVID, they couldn't come here, but they can still be included. It's just that there is a lot more work involved in it in order to prove it to immigration that it's still genuine and you have still maintained it in a very genuine manner, that it's a relationship, So I think you need to be conscious of the fact that even if it seems straightforward, as Dini said, but there are a lot of nitty-gritty involved in it, which you don't want to take as a chance, because obviously it's a one-time opportunity, as I said. And that's what is included in the partner independence. For health and character. Health and character is, as it's shown in the slide, if your medicals were submitted in the past 36 months and were assessed as ASH is acceptable standard of health, then you are not required to provide any further medical certificate. However, immigration has notified that it's an officer's discretion if they can see if there is any issue with their past medicals, if there is any notes written by a medical assessor, then they can ask for additional tests. They can ask for additional tests to be done by the applicant or applicants included in the application. If your medicals have passed 36 months, like you've done it and it's more than 36 months been passed, then you are required to provide limited medical certificate. Please be advised, in the limited medical certificate, chest X-ray is also included as an additional. In limited medical certificate, there will be a list that will be given by immigration on the website, what is all included, but chest X-ray is also included. I've got a lot of inquiries asking whether I should do a chest X-ray as well, because I've submitted my medicals 4 or 5 years ago when I came to New Zealand. Yes, you need to submit the chest X-ray, and it's an answer, a confirmed answer to that. In terms of character, immigration, though they have mentioned that they will, you're not required to provide an overseas certificate. However, they will still check the New Zealand character check for anyone who is included in the application and is 17 years or older. So immigration is going to conduct that NZ police check on their own, which might take longer than we expected because usually it takes time to get it. So we are advising all our clients or whosoever is contacting us to get the application in process already, because we know that these little things to meet might take longer and might take longer for the processing from immigration point of view as well. So that's what is included in health and character. If anyone has got any concerns and they want specific advice on their situation related to any of the criteria or health or character, or you think you've got any underlying condition, which you know you want some clarification on whether you need additional medicals or not, just contact us separately and we will be able to guide you accurately.
Yeah, just in line with that character section that you were talking about, I did see some questions about people asking whether overseas police certificates are required. So immigration has confirmed that it is not required. So you only need to provide, only the New Zealand police certificate is required, and immigration does these checks on as part of their usual process. And anyone else that immigration has concerns about or they deem required, they also do the national security checks. So this is a resident application. So they do want to make sure that whoever is able to gain that resident status, you know, you meet the character requirements. So we have put together a list of Q&A based off of questions that we have received over the last few weeks, and also questions that we had ourselves that were later clarified by immigration as well. So the first thing is, actually, I'll talk about the timeframes first, just before we dive into the Q&A. So everyone knows that the first phase opens on the 1st of December, so that is in less than 2 weeks' time. You know, time has really flown by and it's creeped up on us. So first phase opens to anyone that has already had an application submitted under the skilled migrant or residents from work categories on or before the 29th of September 2021, or anyone that has submitted an expression of interest for SMC and have included a child that is age 17 years or older. So we know there have been delays on immigration's end because of lockdowns. Case officers are not able to go into the branches to lodge applications into the system. So some of you guys might have lodged, you know, you might have submitted your application to INZ before 29th September, but you haven't received a confirmation that it's actually lodged. So we know from a confirmation that we had from INZ yesterday that the officers are working through lodging these applications into the system. And even some of our clients have been receiving the email confirmation just yesterday. So anyone that has submitted, if you're not sure whether you would fall under phase 1 or not, you can wait for that email from Immigration New Zealand, or if it's a client that we have assisted, we also will double check for you, because it's really important that immigration has divided these applications into 2 phases. And for those that are not eligible under phase 1, if you apply, it may be declined. So you really want to double check before you submit on 1st December. For the phase 2, it's for everyone else that is eligible. So you can apply from the 1st of March next year. And the applications all close on 31st of July 2022. So we all know that this is a temporary category of residents. There's a limited time for it. It's a one-off opportunity. So you need to make sure you get it right when you submit the application. Some people have actually said to us, oh, it seems really straightforward. It's just a form to fill. But we just wanted to remind you as well that, the application forms are only available from the 1st of December that day. So it is really, really important that every single line on the form is filled correctly, because any mistakes, if you're thinking of rushing through it, if you really want to get your application in first in line, make sure that it's all checked correctly. And from our team, we have advisors, we have administrators, we double check the application before we submit, so that there is no mistakes on the application form, because immigration do take those mistakes potentially as false or misleading information, and it is quite a serious issue. So yeah, get in touch with us to get underway, and I'll go through some of the questions that would be helpful for you guys. So first question is, so I am eligible to apply this 1st December 2021, and I would like to go home. Will leaving New Zealand while my resident application is in process have any effect on me?
I wouldn't suggest you to leave. Not at all.
No.
I actually, just on that question, it's not only from the clients, but also I would just say my own family who's on a visa here, they have asked me, can we go back to India and after lodging our application? And I'm like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
Immigration will absolutely stop processing your visa the moment you leave the country. And it will only be reprocessed. It will only be picked up again once you re-enter the country. Considering the borders are still closed, I would not suggest anyone to leave the country before even getting a decision on your residence application. I keep on telling everyone, and I will, and even in this webinar, I have mentioned it twice, that this is one opportunity that I was quite amazed personally that immigration has given to a lot of migrants who will qualify for residence. So do not lose this opportunity. Just hang in there. If you have waited for so long, just couple of months more and you will be through, and then you can reunite with your family.
Yeah, that's correct. So immigration did confirm that for them to be able to grant the resident status, you need to be in New Zealand. So please stay put. Second question. So I meet the settled criteria, but much of my time here was on a student visa. Would I still be eligible? I think you kind of covered
this. Yes, I covered this in the webinar, because a lot of people are actually confused with their visa when they entered New Zealand, or their amount of time that they have stayed on certain visa, would that count? So as I mentioned earlier in the webinar, it doesn't matter what visa you have come to New Zealand, until unless you're meeting the settled criteria, which I explained in this webinar. And we will obviously share this recording, upload this recording, you can refer it back again. But until unless you're meeting that criteria, you can apply for RV 2021.
Yeah, that's right. So if you meet the settled criteria, basically it doesn't matter what visa you were previously on, as long as you are on an eligible visa on 29 September, or on on the date of the day that you submit the residence application.
Yeah.
So I am in Australia on 29 September 2021. And I think I meet the eligibility criteria. However, I am unable to return to New Zealand. Please help. So I think I can cover this. So anyone that is in Australia, because of the bubble closure, so if you meet the eligibility criteria otherwise, so except for the requirement of being in New Zealand on 29 September, then you would be eligible, but you need to be in New Zealand to be able to apply. I've got one question for you, Hamneet, for partnership, because you covered that previously. So what if I included my offshore partner in my 2021 resident visa application, and then INZ granted us with residence visa? Can my partner then travel to New Zealand?
Yes, immigration has confirmed that Offshore partner or kids can be included. And if the family is granted the residence visa, they can travel to New Zealand as they will be then partner or dependent of a New Zealand resident here.
How much is the application fee?
For the March batch, it's very straight. It's 2160. I've got this another question. Because my wife and kids are offshore, do I have to pay anything extra for immigration fee? No, it's only one application fee, and you can include your immediate family, whosoever is eligible. So that's one. For phase one, who are eligible for December, I've clarified this in the previous webinar, and Zini, you as well. So you only have to pay the difference if you are from residence from work, because obviously you've paid 1,800. For the ones whose SMC application is in process, you might get a refund, but that process is not disclosed yet by immigration. So we don't know, we don't have any clarity on what would be that process would be, but there is a news that guys will be eligible for a refund for the SMC lost ones. Otherwise, for the March, it's very clear, it's 2160.
Yep. So I think basically anyone that falls under phase one, you have had another application submitted, which means you've paid a fee for that application. And so when you submit this new resident 2021 visa, I don't think there is a fee that you need to pay up front. But once immigration has made a decision, in principle, they will give you the option to whether withdraw the other application or not. And if so, that would determine then the fee that you have to pay, whether it's a top up or whether you get a refund. So we have a lot of clients that have obviously applied for the residence from work visa. Don't withdraw your application yet. Don't do that. You have the opportunity to do so later on in the process. Another question. So is there any English language requirement for principal applicant or partners and dependents?
No. That's, I think, a very, very great news for a lot of people who were kind of struggling to get the IELTS, or who were, kind of juggling to meet this English requirement. And I think that's a brilliant news where immigration has actually waived off this requirement. And no, you do not have to provide. There is no English, no age requirement for this RV, #RV 2021.
Yeah, that's right. There's no age requirement as well. So good news for those people that might not have qualified for either SMC or the residence from work. So another question is one we see quite a lot as well. So what if on 29th September 2021, I'm a holder of an essential skills work visa? Is it okay if I change visa category when I apply?
Yes, absolutely. If you can go through the slides again and you refer to this recording, there is this list of eligible visa. Unless you're on that one of the eligible visas listed, there is no concern then. But if, say, for example, circumstances change, you have to move to a partnership visa, and because you have got a slightly different situation where we have to reevaluate then who can be the primary applicant and who was on eligible visa as of 29th September. So absolutely, but you can change.
Yeah, so basically you can change the visa type you're on as long as it is one of the eligible visas. So say, for example, you're on a work to residence, the only way that you can renew a work to residence visa is if you lodge a residence from work application. But if you choose not to lodge that residence from work application and you choose to submit an application under this resident visa 2021, then the only visa that you could renew for most people is the essential skills. So you can go from a work to residence to essential skills if you choose to apply for this resident visa 2021 and still be eligible, because both visa types are eligible visas. Just to say, because I did kind of see a question around that work to residence as well. So a lot of people that are on WTR, you now have two pathways to residence essentially. So it's under the residence from work or under this residence 2021, depending on each person's situation, whether they have submitted an residence application or not, it determines whether they can renew or not. So please do come to us to evaluate your situation, because I see we are running over time a little bit. So I'll just go through really quickly the last 2 questions. So should I submit my application on 1st December for fastest approval?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was waiting for immigration to give a confirmation, and thankfully in the last webinar, they did confirmed. Nobody has to rush. Immigration is fully resourced, fully equipped. They are obviously aware of the volumes coming in. So that's why they have suggested that even the portal is going to be introduced on 1st of December. It doesn't mean that you have to apply on 1st of December. You still have got time to apply under whatever category that you fall under, but do not rush, because with rushing, we don't want you to jeopardize your form, jeopardize your situation, because even if it sounds easy, immigration is going to scrutinize this application a lot, because they will pick and choose what information you have provided. So you have to be very conscious. To all the listeners, do not put pressure on yourself or on the advisors to put the application just on the 1st of December. We've got time. Immigration is fully equipped. They've mentioned it, that they are fully aware of the volumes coming in. They're fully resourced, and they have not confirmed if the application will be decided from the day or time that you would be submitting. But they are fully resourced in terms of picking up the volumes that they are expecting.
Yeah, that's right. So in the past, I think they mentioned it's first in, first serve.
Yeah.
But in the most recent webinars, they did say they are considering other criteria for allocating. So that is yet to be released.
Released,
what
yeah.
other criteria is. So I think the last question, we've kind of covered it. So do I need to get medical as part of my application?
Yeah. Sorry, you go ahead.
No, yeah, I think Hamney covered it. So yeah, if it's still valid, then no. But if it's not valid, it's expired, then you need to complete a limited certificate and chest X-ray.
Yeah. And anyone who's got underlying conditions or anything that they need to clarify based on their personal situation, you know who to contact.
Okay. All right. Thank you everyone for your time tonight. We do apologize that we have gone slightly over time. I hope we haven't held you back and you're hungry and you're waiting to have dinner. So if you have any further questions, as always, where to contact us. I think we will have our contact details listed here. If you want to check your eligibility, we have a free eligibility assessment online. So there is a link that you can go through. One of our team members will get in touch. We'll assess your eligibility. If you are an employer and you want us to review your eligibility of your staff members, get in touch with us, because we will be able to go through what's required, what you can assist with from your end. We know that helps us greatly with retaining your staff. So yeah, do contact us if you have any questions. It was really lovely to talk to you all tonight. And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Zinni. Thank you, everyone. It was lovely having you all tonight. Have a lovely evening, and do not hesitate to contact us. Namaste.
Thank you.